Good
Ooh.
evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the education coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Tonight's special guest that we have with us is Dr. Ryan Bland. He is a local functional medicine practitioner, and he is going to be speaking on the topic of beyond digestion, the microbiome's impact on total wellness. Thank you so much, Dr. Bland, for joining us.
You. Welcome to the show, everybody. And I would like to also congratulate Marlene's on a successful year, 48 years in business. I'm going to do a small business rant really quick. Please support small businesses. I remember growing up as a kid, there was so many different places and different businesses that curated so much of my childhood, from baseball cards to food to different restaurants, places to go hang out and do things. Um, and that's what makes this a great country. And that's what makes this country have its pizzazz. And it makes the melting pot of this country amazing so we can try and experience all these different things. So I don't care what business is out there, support all small businesses before you go ahead and try and do something with a big business. So I just wanted to congratulate Marlene's, and I want to also introduce myself. You guys heard I'm Dr. Ryan Bland. I am a second generation chiropractor who specifically has been studying applied kinesiology and functional medicine. Applied kinesiology was invented in 1964 by Dr. George Goodhart, and he was just a genius of a human being, and he bridged the gap of chiropractic and Chinese traditional medicine. And we were now aware and able to function at a greater level dealing with holistic health. Now, jump a bunch of years later, we are in a totally different technological world, and we are utilizing all these great labs, but we still use the frequency medicine of the muscle test as a great tool to treat um, a lot of patients with a lot of confidence. Um, However, there are all different practitioners in the world. Um, and I think that as an advocate to dealing with a lot of patients, I think patients out there seeking holistic healthcare should concern themselves with the quality of the practitioner and not the tool. And it's also important as a patient and a practitioner to have the consciousness is you can't keep using the same tool because you're going to use the tool till the tool breaks. So don't use the tool until the tool breaks. So I have spent the past 10, 11 years treating patients from all over the world, dealing with all kinds of chronic health issues. And I think that my philosophy starts with meeting people where they're at a place of love and understanding, and building a wall of trust. But the most thing I care about my patients is if they're happy and at ease with their existence. We are concerned about making your temple a holy place because there are far too many people basing their health and in their individuality trying to be like other people. Society makes it very easy for us to fall into these social constructs and these social conditions. So we have to, and we've become so intertwined on social media and television and all the media that exists, um, that there's this constant feedback loop, and we're not experiencing information or having the space to actually integrate this information into our system. And our nervous system knows this better than we realize, because you think you keep putting more in as more is better. But the more information you put in, the more your body and brain are just going to be cycling around for the answer. And I see a lot of people, I guess the best word, who are not confident, who are not well, and who are not confident on their journey back to healthcare because they are constantly in this wheel and they are not becoming one with their information and becoming one with their condition. And they are seeking things outside of themselves all the time. So, this is the journey I am on with my patients. My work is to undo all of their work. that has made everybody have such a difficult time with so much anxiety and brain fog and underperforming. So my job is to bring out the real individual, the true you in its most pure form. And one thing that I really focus is on the microbiome. It's important to realize that you do have 70 trillion human cells, but you have over 700 trillion microbiota. And what is a microbiome? It's just basically the bacteria and different environments that are going on through your digestive tract. But I think a lot of people talk about, oh, gut health. I'm doing this for my gut health, gut health, gut health. And people are just throwing yogurt in and all kinds of fermented products. And, I think there's a definite place for all of these delicious, healthful foods. But if you're having a hard time with your health, sometimes putting these foods in can make it more complicated, especially if you have no idea what's going on. And one thing that I see a lot in practice is I see a lot of patients getting the same labs and the same looking for the getting the same thing, looking for the same answer, and they're not going outside of the box. They're just getting a regular complete metabolic panel or a female vitality panel. And I mean, most practitioners who are prescribing thyroid medication, they're only running a TSH. They're running very minimal information. Um, and I find that there are very many functional labs like OAT test, MicroGenDX, Cyrex labs that will get to the real root cause or give us new perspective on the case. Going and doing the same thing over again is just you're going to be spinning your tires. You have to try something new and different you haven't tried, and that is one of the biggest roadblocks with patients who are not successful. Is they kind of just they want to do what they want to do, and when patients dictate their own care, this is a very dangerous thing, and that really tarnishes the doctor-patient relationship. So it's really important to address the issues that are going on with certain kinds of labs, but it's also important to note that applied kinesiology and frequency muscle testing is also a very effective way if you're kind of not into labs or you're on a cost-effective budget. It's all about what you can do. It's best to get labs or some kind of baseline to see how we're doing on paper for some progress throughout the course of action. But the whole microbiome and the whole health of our society has definitely been infiltrated by a lot of bad stuff. I mean, we have people on all kinds of medications. So, where does the problem start? Because we can define stuff all day, and I could read a bunch of science definitions that I wrote down. But where does the problem start? It starts at the gateway. And what are your main gateways? Your nose and your mouth. That's the first place. Dysbiosis and your gut health will be compromised. So when you breathe in, your nasal cavity will breathe in toxins, endotoxins, mycotoxins, metals, chemicals, whatever. Whatever is out there is going to go up your nose. This is a filter. Now, when you breathe in and you get sick, one of the first symptoms is a postnasal drip. You're now swallowing those bacteria, endotoxins, mycotoxins, whatever is in there, taking it along with whatever else has already been sitting there, and you're swallowing it. Postnasal drip. Then your throat swells up. Now it's going to your lymph nodes and it's all over your body. Whatever pathology. And you could think of this as a common cold. Someone sneezed, you breathed it in. Where did it breathe? Where'd you breathe it in? In your nose. Your body created inflammation. Now you have boogers. you know Now you have a headache. It's this intracranial pressure. So this is how your body works. And also we have oral health. Well, the enzymes that digest food are released during chewing, mastication. So isn't it important to have a completely amazing oral health? Absolutely. One product I use is Oral Supreme. It's a Supreme nutrition product. You massage a couple of drops into your gums, and it'll eliminate any spirochetes or bacteria. Plaque is a biofilm. The plaque is an infection in your body. It's an infection covered, protected by more goop. That's pretty much what a biofilm is, and that's plaque in your mouth. And when you use Oral Supreme and you do a gum test, you won't see any parasites in the gum test or any bugs because it kills the bugs. So when people talk about gut health, we can't even talk about the stomach because we haven't gotten past the nose and the mouth and the airways. And I find this logic to be very simple and extremely useful in treating patients. So I do a nasal spray called Sinu Power, 2 sprays in my nose, and that clears my nasal power passage and helps me detox it. I use the Oral Supreme, and I also, for patients, I have a specific protocol for a nebulizer to help clear out the lungs and get the biofilms out of the lungs. So it's important to realize that this is the first step in getting to where you want to go. Is a lot of it is personal hygiene and really good hygiene practices. And I mean, these things take minutes in a day. I mean, it just takes a moment. It's really not much. So if you're somebody out there and you're dealing with a bunch of symptoms and you have brain fog, loss of interest, anxiety, stomach pains, headaches, anger outbursts, inability to get along with people, hormone problems, I mean, you name it, our health is reliant on all of these microbes. Um, so all of these persistent infections people are having is due to an imbalance in the amount. And we live in a world where everyone wants to detox and kill and biohack. Well, I say bio-harmonize because you know if I hacked everybody, I probably wouldn't be so successful because it would be too much too soon. Nobody wants to start a program and then, have a week or 2 weeks of diarrhea and migraine headaches from detoxing from everything. I keep people getting better at a decent rate without having them feel sick. Sometimes it's okay maybe to have a little Herxheimer detox reaction, but not all the time. It shouldn't be extreme. Sometimes different cases, you have to manage them differently. But for most of the time, you should be feeling good and slowly harmonizing with your body because we need a certain amount of these microbiota and killing them all with an antibiotic. I mean, we all know enough that that's not it. We're all here, we're all like-minded people. We know that antibiotics not it unless it's an emergency. Nothing wrong with that. Um, so over the course of time, this imbalance in the microbiota can cause all kinds of inflammation and disease processes. And these persistent infections can drain the body's energy. And that could, from a chiropractic standpoint, looking at how the autonomic and the central nervous system also need support during this time of healing the gut. Because if your nervous system is shot, your adrenals are weak, you're fatigued, it's like driving a car with no gas. You're not going to get very far. And your body won't have enough power to power the cells. So the body can heal. So it's important to address the stress and the lifestyle dysfunction in people and try and really mitigate that because you can take all the supplements in the world, but if your level of stress is greater than your level of healing, it's always going to win. So as a practitioner, my job is to be a detective to figure out where we can pull from and be creative so that we can alleviate some stress and give people the ability to breathe and also the ability to heal and the ability for the supplements to do their job. Because if you're on a detox protocol and you have adrenal fatigue or your body's exhausted or the hormones have crashed, you're not going to have the vitality to get rid of the stuff because once the stuff gets in your system, your body's going to freak out. And I see it all the time. I have tons of patients who try to do things on their own too much too soon, and they breaking out, going to the hospital to breaking out in rashes. It's just not worth it. Um, so this dysbiosis, like I said, it's just an imbalance in the body. And a couple of things that it will do is cause immune dysregulation. It'll cause increased gut permeability. So different foods will go in and out of the stomach. You won't absorb your nutrients. You won't be able to detox as well. The intestinal barriers become weak and loose. And a lot of products will leak directly into the bloodstream. Um, and this causes a lot of immune and inflammatory responses. Next, you're going to produce auto antibodies, which your body now is going to mistakenly destroying its own tissue. Then you can have activation of immune cells, and these interactions in the body. And every food we eat, it's like crazy to think that all this stuff is just like flying around, happening just because our nervous system wants. So it can get to the point where people have autoimmune diseases, and there are people, obviously, dealing with a lot of these issues right now: autoimmune disease and allergies, food allergies and food sensitivities. I mean, if you were born past 1986, I think there's like a 85% chance you have a little bit of one of those. And it's a very interesting world. Um, and what we put in our bodies is really important. Now, what we put in our bodies and what we eat is very, very, very important. Food sensitivities will trigger all kinds of inflammatory reactions. I don't believe in one diet. I don't believe in any other thing other than biochemical individuality, and each person should be eating a diet that varies throughout the year based on what their body needs. I have been in practice long enough to see vegans go carnivore, and now carnivore go back to you know eating moderately. And it seems like a lot of these influencers and stuff, they don't really have it figured out, but they're influencing your healthcare choices, and they're using research maybe. And I got to tell you something, research is very different from what you see in clinic. I love research. I love all the people who talk about research. It's fun. Let's talk about facts. But when it comes to sitting across from a patient, a lot of what is in the research doesn't translate. And I really want it to. I mean, I have tons of there's tons of information on omega 3s and its anti-inflammatory thing. I use it sometimes in my practice, but I've never just given a patient an omega 3 and it's changed their life. So I think we put our weight onto some things too much. Um, and we should be focusing on the individuality and only eating based on that. And I find that moderation and moderate diets are usually what people can stick to. Sometimes I have other patients who they need to be on extremely, restrictive eating programs. If you have a cancer patient, there it's just you can't take risks. If you have certain people with autoimmune conditions or Crohn's disease, there's just I can't tell somebody in good conscience to go have some French fries and ice cream if that's not going to bear well for them in the moment. So don't buy into any of these social constructs. Stop. Buy into your individuality and celebrate you. Nobody is like you. You're cool because you're you. And if you don't celebrate that, you want to be like somebody else, you're eventually going to deal with the same problems they dealt with because they're being extreme and they're not being responsible or respectful to their bodies. So, this overall dysbiosis will impact the function and contribute to a lot of progression of autoimmune conditions. However, you can restore the microbial balance. And I think the best way, like I said, is to dietary changes. Probiotics would not be first on my list. Um, I would rather use single use herbs that are designed as plant antimicrobials by God that will kill all the bad stuff and keep all the good stuff. And I think that's the best course of action, is finding a specific group of herbs and maybe some nutraceuticals and nutrients based on what's actually biologically and chemically going on. And this is what is best to treat this. And this will help mitigate this inflammation, doing the the oral supreme, doing the nasal spray, doing the nebulizer, doing all of these things. And a lot of people, they ask me, um, did my screen just get super dark? A lot of people ask me why I don't get sick a lot. Well, I'm human, knock on wood, I do get sick, but I do all these things and I try and do them every day. And one thing I do to stay congruent is I have an alarm on my phone. So put an alarm on your phone today and make the choice to do one healthy thing, whether it's a supplement alarm or go for a walk alarm. Put an alarm on your phone about wellness, a wellness related thing, and see how your life changes. So the next level of this microbiome that I'd like to talk about is, more neurological, because that's what I like and that's fun for me. So the gut brain connection is a bi-directional communication that is obviously at play, because anyone who has depression, I can 100% assert that they have dysbiosis. They have an issue in their balance of their microbiome. Why? 95% of your serotonin is made in the gut. If there's leaky gap junctions and inflammation, autoimmune dysregulation, is your body going to make serotonin? Probably not. Now, this whole gut brain axis is
I'm in a
controlled by
meeting.
the nerve. What's
Hi.
that? Hello. Hi. The gut brain axis is controlled by the vagus nerve. And this is a cranial nerve that goes down the left side of your body, and it connects your heart, your brain, and your digestion and all of your digestive organs. So I haven't seen one patient, vice versa, who has had messed up gut and not had depression or anxiety. Actually, the worse the gut is, the worse the depression or the anxiety is. And even deeper into psychological and psychiatric conditions, a lot of these are mitigated in amazing ways by healing this. And also the autism in children, dealing with this bidirectional communication is imperative in helping them heal, because a lot of parasites and different microbes can create ammonia, and that will create leaky brain, and that means things are going to be passing back and forth in and out of your brain, and you do not want that. And once that happens, you have inflammation in your gut, you have inflammation in your brain, and then there's, autism. They have a lot of serious symptomologies. And I do see a lot of kids and have helped a lot of children um, by identifying what's going on with muscle testing and some Cyrex or Microgen DX labs. And you assert what's going on or what's wrong. What is breaking down too much? What kind of toxins, fungus, mold, like what's going on? We have to create a baseline. So it's very important to realize also, not only is your gut making serotonin, it's also making about 75% of your dopamine. So it's all related into your mental health, and you cannot be mentally sound with poor eating, a poor diet, and bad digestion. There are also several hormones just linked to the digestive tract, and people aren't aware of that. And when you alter the microbiome and you eat like something like a seed oil and create inflammation, your body has gastrin, and this stimulates gastric acid and secretin, and this is released by the pancreas. And you have cholecystokinin, which this is enzymes from the gallbladder. I mean, there's ghrelin, which makes you hungry. So a lot of people who want to lose weight, guess what? Their microbiome is messed up. If you are trying to lose weight and you can't lose weight, and you're counting calories, time to get a test, time to get some muscle testing, time to focus in on this. Weight loss is a very simple thing for some, and it's a very difficult thing for others. I have people who've lost over 100 pounds. I have people who, like, hitting 20 pounds was a miracle. Everybody's body fat is at a different set point, but with the a right diet, I find that most of these people that I see don't even need to be counting calories. If you're eating the right foods that isn't alarming your body, because if it's not your body goes like it's like zeros and ones, it's like a computer. And for people who don't know what that means, your body either goes it's a hell yes or a hell no. The food is either medicine or it's poison at this point. So if you put something in, it's either going to have a good reaction, or if you put something bad in, it's going to have a bad reaction. And the more you do on the bad side, the more you're going to pay later. And the more you go off, the further the nervous system of the yin and yang. So you have sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, rest and digest, feed and breed. So if your microbiome is off, that's going to alter the parasympathetic. And that parasympathetic control is, again, the vagus nerve. And if it's not being activated properly, you're not even going to digest properly. And when this imbalance happens, the parasympathetic nervous system is just like out of gas. You're not going to have good sleep. You're not going to get good digestion, and that is how we recover our cells. So it is important to realize that there are so many different enzymes and chemicals and hormones that this whole gut brain axis is regulating. So we need to realize that there's just like a whole cascade of hormones. When I say serotonin, let's go back to serotonin because it's an easy one to talk about. So when I go to talk about serotonin, it regulates mood and emotions. It's in the gut, but also, the pathway tryptophan, it starts as tryptophan, it converts to 5-hydroxytryptophan, then it converts to serotonin, and then once it synthesizes serotonin, um, you know, there are specific cells that help it respond to different stimuli, such as food ingestions or mechanical movements or neural signals. So, our bodies are just so miraculously and so connected. And I think I just want to take a pause here and say, this topic is so vast that I don't even want to tell you or say that I'm an expert on it, because it is so gut health and just human condition right now is just so multifactorial that the thoughts, the toxins, and the trauma we are experiencing, we've never experienced these before. Okay. So the functions of our body has never been put to this kind of test. I mean, mankind has never had like cell phones in front of their face, or computers. Like we don't know. A lot of us think that some of these things have negative effects, and they probably do. So the gut microbiota will lead to all kinds of different regulation of autoimmunity, specifically T cells and T helper cells. These play the role in defending against pathogens, T cells, and we really live in a world dominated by having to uh, put a lot of fires out, and this creates a whole cascade of an issue of immune homeostasis. So if and it's just like a couple of bad choices for some people, they're on the toilet, or they lose weeks and years of their lives. So it's really important to kind of get down into the exact reality of what's going on with patients. So I really think that the whole entire microbiota and our body as a temple as it is something that is amazing. It's vast. Um, and we need to continue to make different choices in our lives and continue to investigate in different labs and in different avenues, or breath work, or levels of creativity, or cooking classes. I think the purpose of life is to remember and to enjoy. And I see way too many people trying to seek a deeper connection, and most of us are usually in our own way. And what I do is I help you get out of your own way and I undo whatever work brainwashed you. And you live an amazing life. And we get a lot of people better quite quickly. So if you are interested in having a chat with me, I do free discovery calls. So you can go on my website, drryanbland.com, or find me on Instagram and just say hi and book a free discovery call. And we can talk about what's going on and get you feeling the best you've ever felt. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bland.
You're welcome. It was good.
Got any questions, folks? Feel free to unmute yourself if you like, or type in the chat box. I know you had said on online, which I super appreciate you with the promotion, but also trying to get folks to ask questions beforehand. Oh, Mary, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. If there's one thing you could do, what's one thing that you would recommend everybody does?
Mary, you're putting me against the wall here. Um, I'll tell you the one thing that I'm doing that I think is absolutely um something that I think everyone should do. I do about a 10-minute walk after every meal. A nice
Oh,
walk after every meal. This way, whatever you ate isn't going to lipolysis or fat. This way, whatever you ate is going to the generation of more energy and healthy cells. So if you sit there, your body stores it as fat, but if you're in motion, your body's going to store it as energy. And that'll help with your overall energy, uh, healthy blood, healthy mind. I mean, walking is just like, I know it's kind of a boring thing to pick, so I'm going to pick another one for you, Mary.
but I have one more question before you do a second one. How long?
Okay.
So you eat your dinner, you eat your meal. What's the window of time you have to walk? Within 30 minutes? Within an hour?
I don't know. I don't really like regulate it. Like I just like, I'm ready to go. You know?
Okay.
Sometimes I'll sit for a couple of minutes. Sometimes I'll be ready right away. All of the recommendations that I recommend to all of my patients,
Yeah.
I say it's a recommendation, but the most important thing is you are your magician. You are the one that's making the change. I'm the one just giving some advice. So let
Yeah.
your body tell you, hey, I'm ready to go. And if you need to set an alarm, yeah, I guess a half hour would be the time. If you didn't go within a half hour from eating, it's time to go.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Second
But
one?
I think I'll give you a second one. Um, Second one, a good dietary advice would to be I would avoid all gluten and seed oils. I don't think anyone can get
Yeah.
hurt with that advice. I could only imagine people prospering from that. I think a lot of the issues with glucose, and cholesterol is pretty much from these crappy seed oils and this imbalance in the omegas, and it causes tons of inflammation, and it's all GMO, nasty, nasty, nasty. Even if it's not
Okay.
GMO, I don't think it's very healthy. So seed oils is definitely one of the things that I know is destroying hormones and digestion. And I mean, your body takes like the half-life on the seed oils is like 454 days or something. Somebody could fact check that. It's close to that. So half of what you had, and say you ate some French fries from wherever at a restaurant. Every restaurant you go in is cooking in seed oils. Maybe not Marlene's Deli, um, but every restaurant, regular kind of restaurant, they're cooking in seed oils, causing all kinds of inflammation, dysbiosis, symptoms, anxiety. It's just not it. So I would, the gluten and that, if you could avoid those two things and go for a 10-minute walk every day and continue
Yeah.
whatever else you were doing, I think it would be beautiful. I have a question for you. What is your favorite thing that you do for your health right now?
I would say I walk a lot actually, but not after
All right.
every meal. So that's good. Yeah, I would
Okay,
say
cool,
that.
cool.
And I get up in the morning and I do carrot, celery, cucumber, apple mix with water and drink that
Right on. Right on.
with
Okay,
some vital
cool.
proteins. Yeah.
Cool. I was about to
But
say
I
I
still
need
have
you to
problems.
of course, I need you to have protein. Yeah,
Yes,
but
I
yeah,
do
if
have
you're
vital
ever
proteins. I put that in it.
that's beautiful. Make sure you get a lot of protein, and if you have enough energy from all that walking, I believe a lot of women should be resistance training. Now, I
Mm,
don't need
okay.
a lot of women to be bodybuilders, but if you can go to a gym and push some cable machines or push some weights, I think it does wonders for a woman. For a woman, it's fantastic.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
2 times a week. You're very welcome. You're awesome.
Okay. Mhm.
Great question.
Anyone else? Mary
Uh,
was awesome.
uh, we have uh, Dave here. Specific ideas about occasional heartburn and insomnia.
Well, Dave, perfect. We just talked about the gut-brain axis. So it sounds like you're experiencing some dysbiosis, and it would be important that you look further into this. There are a lot of cool functional labs that I mentioned during this podcast. You can go check out Microgen DX or Cyrex Labs or the Great Plains Oat test. These are all really great, but yeah, if you're experiencing this, and usually heartburn is at night. Usually heartburn is a dysbiosis, but insufficiency of the gallbladder to produce enough bile for digestion, and that pathway could be damaged by some sort of pathogen, parasite, microbe, fungus. I find that if you work with a patient, you're able to find specific herbs and specific solutions. Um, I have a supplement called Calms that is made by a company, Vervita, that is really good. You can get it on my supplement store, Dr. Bland 10 for a 10% discount. That's really good to keep your nervous system, but I prefer to muscle test my patients and make sure whatever I'm giving them is giving their body energy and not taking the energy away. And that's the beauty of applied kinesiology. And that's how we differentiate between like a naturopath, because a naturopath sees what they see on the lab, and there's no muscle testing or acupuncture or Chinese medicine component to it. So they're just looking at the labs, and they might see the eosinophil is high, and that's a parasite. And they'll guess, okay, black walnut, which is great for parasite. I love it. Use it on tons of people. But what if I muscle tested you on that black walnut and it made you weaker? Well, then I would like to use something like cat's claw or golden thread or, angiographis. There's, other things. So, being and getting on a program designed for you. And, like I said, the hygiene is super important, and sleep is a certain kind of hygiene. And, certain people struggling, like, you got to turn your phone off, the TV off. I know there's a lot of hardcore insomniacs out there. I have some close personal friends who struggle. Um, but, there's a lot to be said for people's lifestyles and the level of stress and, uh, repressed emotions. You know, it's, like your body sounds like it doesn't, it's having a hard time flowing and going through its circadian rhythm. So it'd be cool to identify what's going on in the nervous system, what's going on in the gut, what's going on in the blood, and really just addressing this. And, also, looking at your spine and your biomechanics. Is there a vertebra out of place that is pinching the nerve that goes to your stomach? I mean, I have all kinds of patients. I have some patients who are just chiropractic. I've adjusted people's necks and they stopped having insomnia. So why not you? Why not now? So I think there's a lot you can do for that. Um, you know, an enzyme like gastro-digest from Vervita would temporarily help you. I don't love giving enzymes. I like to deal with the root cause, but sometimes in the beginning of a care, you might need to use a natural product, because people do use all these products, and I don't like to push products. I like to give people what they need. Because I have patients who are taking magnesium to sleep. And they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, because do they really need all that magnesium? Because they're not dealing with the root cause. They're using magnesium like a medical drug. And that's the philosophy in which like a naturopath would, like this magnesium will make your muscles relaxed. Well, why aren't they relaxed in the first place? So, we have to think of things logically. We have to think of things as, even if they're holistic, are we overdoing it? Don't use the tool until you break the tool. If you're somebody who's using magnesium glycinate to sleep, good for you. But guess what? If you're using it every night, you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. And I just had a new patient. I hope she's watching. I know she is. She was one of these magnesium people, magnesium, and she took so much magnesium that it disrupted the sodium and potassium ratio. And if you know anything about human anatomy physiology, your potassium and sodium is in every living nervous system, cellular mediate, everything is using sodium and potassium. Every cell needs it every moment. So if you're dumping in something to treat a symptom, even if it's holistic, is that a holistic approach? Now I can't say for everybody. For me, it's really not what I'm about. What I'm about is finding really what's going on. There is no um, one protocol. I don't have a yeast protocol. I don't have a fungus protocol. I have a U protocol. I treat patients, patient to patient. There is no patient that I've ever had that I've done the same thing ever in the past 10 or 11 years. And I, I thought it would happen by now, but I haven't.
Wonderful. Great question.
It was a good question. Yeah. Great question. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Oh, we got one from Kimmy. What are some
Oh, yeah.
examples of single-use herbs?
Single use foods or herbs?
Herbs.
Herbs. A bunch. I'll give you a bunch. Dan Shen is a Chinese herb that helps thin the blood. Um, it helps decrease the fibrin in the blood. When people had COVID, that keeps people safe from blood clots. That's really awesome. Malia, mimosa, morinda, olive leaf. These are my top favorite herbs, antimicrobial, antiviral, almost like a plant antibiotic. Um, I like, what else do we like? Mangista is good for lymph flow and white blood cell proliferation. I like some protomorphogens like beef organs. Supreme has a thymus and testicle, but I mean, these are single-use products. My point saying about single-use products was primarily to point out that there's like a lot of supplements out there that they'll have like 40 things in it. And I mean, there's a use for these things sometime, but if you have a really sick person with dysbiosis, dysregulation in the gut and the brain, do you think putting 40 things and then another couple of things on top of that, and then slamming a shake with 1,000 things and powders in it, do you think your body's gonna freak out at that, having to like decode all of that, or does your body want like 2 or 3 herbs? Or 4, maybe 5, no more than that, really, for most people. So that's kind of how we think about it is what is, the more products you have, the more components in a product, the more your nervous system might react. And the goal is to put the fire out, turn the nervous system into a more parasympathetic rest and digest, feed and breed cellular healing phase rather than fight or flight. So if you're taking all these things with, 50 ingredients, this is takes a lot of people backwards. But yeah, there are all kinds of single-use products that we use. Elysium is star anise. It's really good for the gut. It actually has better research to heal the flu than Theraflu. Um, Ox bile is good for digestion. Astragalus, ashwagandha. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many different things uh, out there in terms of herbs. Japanese knotweed is resveratrol, anti-aging. So it's just important, you know, to note that when you're detoxing or you want to make a change, it's not about just like throwing in what you read that was cool or because analysis paralysis, because you could read up on all this stuff, you're going to want to take all the stuff. You're going to listen to some people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, I think I have something, and I'm not here to create that environment of victimization. And, I want people to realize that we can be strong, we could be healthy, but let's be delicate and make sure how strong we could be. There's a certain way to be strong and hold your power and deal with your health. And slow and steady really, really wins the race. Um, there's a lot of teas and products out there that just like they have so much stuff in it that it just messes people up. Deleterious to care. More questions?
Simple is best. Like in nature. Oh,
Yeah.
Kimmy, thank you. Makes sense.
Yeah, like you said, Elizabeth, like in how it's presented in nature is the best way to take these herbs and supplements. There's, herbs and supplements that like 1,000 times tincture, and it looks like something that should be sold at a flipping gas station, and the supplements I use and curate in my office are all organic, artisanal, wild crafted herbs that come from the best possible sources that get filtered because supplements aren't what they seem. The black market is huge, so you got to get it from a doctor or a really nice health food store like Marlene's because these things are, well, just imagine this. Magnesium stearate is a common additive in supplements. If you have dysbiosis and you're taking a gut supplement with 80 things and it's packed with magnesium stearate. Well, magnesium stearate is a gut disruptor. So, it's a Trojan horse, it's like it looks like a good idea, but is it a really good idea? Yeah.
I did not know that. Yeah, so you can cause more harm than rebalancing.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone, also another thing that's in a lot of supplements, because there's like a lot of vitamin C stuff, like citric acid isn't like a cool thing. It's usually made from some sort of GMO corn fungus. So, stay away.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that GMO corn fungus. Not near us.
So, like, why would you take a supplement with all these things and promises? It's like the public is easily fooled because, I fortunately I had the opportunity to go to like 10 years of school or whatever. But not everybody is able to read a label and like understand organic chemistry. And that's kind of what my mission is in life is to try and let people know, like, hey, do you know that like citric acid in that supplement you're taking is probably why you have diarrhea right now? It's in breaking that news to patients, like I've been taking this for like years and it helps. And like breaking the old paradigms is a very amazing alchemy to watch because, patients either make the change or they don't. Very rarely, if somebody follows my advice, will they not follow. Very rare.
Well, and they're coming to you because they have been struggling with their health journey. So, um, you know, you're there as a guidance and with the background that you do have, um, as your expertise, they could take it or leave it, but if they're going to be serious about their health, I would hope that they would listen.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. It's not just about listening. Sometimes, and most often the time, when this happens, people get better a little bit and then they go, uh-oh, I'm gonna have to be a different person. My identity was this.
Mm.
And sometimes that is scary for people and they will just deer in the headlights. I see it happen sometimes, it's the inevitable. Sometimes, you people are so good at not being nice to themselves and saying good things about themselves that it's just programmed in others. Do we have another question?
Oh, we do. Thank you so much, Kimmy, for bringing that to my attention. There was a question from Joan.
Oh, cool, Joan. Let me know.
Hey, Joan. What are some signs and symptoms that you have gut microbiome imbalance? Great question.
Good one. Yeah. Couple signs and symptoms. You're cranky. Maybe you're hangry. That's like a cool thing that people know about. Like you're like, I'm hungry, like pissed off and moody. Irregular stools. Like Dave had a perfect example, insomnia and heartburn. That usually happens at the end of the day. Who knows is the heartburn, what's the chicken or the egg here? So I think that is a lot of these symptoms, brain farts, and people, like a lot of people like, oh no, there are people who are forgetful, and that's okay. But there are people who you can tell something to, and they are so fogged out that they don't even know where their phone is. If you know somebody who has no idea where their phone is all the time, they might have a fungus or a mold. There's different ways of telling things, your fingernails, your eyelids, I mean, your color, your eyes, you can detect for some parasites, tongue, if it's fat and white, you got candida and liver congestion. I mean, there's so many cues as a practitioner and so many tricks and um, so many different meridian systems you could work to identify whether the stomach is off. And you have to realize that each organ has its own microbiome. It's its own like little thing, but then it's all connected in this greater network. It's like a bunch of computers all working together. So, you have to compartmentalize what's going on because you can have a gallbladder that is the root cause of your issue, but you're having diarrhea all the time and your large intestine keeps showing up. And until you get the body enough resilience or break down certain biofilms um, with something like nattokinase or something, that's the point in which, you know, you start to get moving with things and you start to heal. But there's a lot of signs and symptoms that we might not even understand at this point. But Dr. Gundry just wrote a book, and his whole book is connecting heart disease and the whole gut. So I mean, you could really the symptoms are too numerous to number. And if you're somebody out there who thinks if you were better 10 years ago, why are you letting yourself not be better if you were better than you were now, why not get better? Like why tell yourself that aging has to be this process? It's not about being better than who you were, it's evolving and becoming different and moving through life differently. But in terms of people's vitality, I'm seeing a lot of people who do not feel good. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are really struggling. And The choices in the world that are convenient are extremely easy to become addicted to. I tell people I'm an addiction specialist because, we have been fed so much BS about health and information and history that we're all in this world right now trying to. A lot of the contention right now, I think, on the planet is we're all trying to redefine like what it like everything is, and we're all kind of like arguing about it a little bit. And we need to all realize that the connection we're seeking isn't with all these things. We're missing what's inside. We're missing what's going on in our house. We're missing what's going on with our family. And I think that connecting with your health and working on your health, whether it's with me or another practitioner, I mean, that your health is your temple in your body. I don't even think people should be so focused on symptoms. I think symptoms are bullshit. I think that everybody has a weak link. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has something to work on, including me, guys. I work on myself frequently. I get body work weekly. I have an applied kinesiology practitioner, Dr. Lee, who I see up in Seattle. I have um, functional medicine practitioners who I have on call. I do all kinds of things for my health. I get all kinds of labs. I am just interested in myself. Invest in yourself. And everything I do has its pros and cons. There's not one thing I've ever done for my health rather than be adjusted my entire life that I'm like, yeah, this is great. Two things that I'll always do is get adjusted and take supplements. But I think that whatever you decide to do, whatever is for you, it's people should get out there and do something and spend money on their health. This is an iPhone, and I'm going to get a little crazy right now. This is an iPhone. This costs like $1,500 or something. Everybody has one. Probably most of you watching are watching me on your iPhone. If not, you're watching me on something comparably to what it is. Now, healthcare, a year of holistic healthcare is about an iPhone. We pay about $40 a month. There's something called care credit. You can put your care on a 12-month or a 36-month 0% APR care credit. You did it for your phone. Why aren't you doing it for your health? I sit here and I've had people come in and out of my office. I've definitely helped people in financial situations, but I've had people pay with their Social Security. I've had people pay with all kinds of barter. Things happen, and I want my visits to be accessible for absolutely everybody. But it's hard to hear the money thing with people because we have the money. You have the money. It's $40 a month to invest in your health care. I think that people who let money be the deciding factor of what they're going to do with their health, I think that they need to reconsider and stop being so frozen. And this isn't for my practice. My practice is definitely busy enough. I'm totally fine with the patients I have. But I want people to know that what you're saying is too expensive is a crazy thing because if you work at a job and you work a job and you're making 30, 40, $50 an hour, whatever you're making, how much easier would your job and life be as a husband, a wife, a mom, a dad, a boyfriend, a friend, a girlfriend? How much easier would your life be if you were healthy? And I see people, they worry about the car, they worry about this, they worry about that. The average car payment's $650. You don't need a brand new Ford F-150. I'm not here to tell people how to spend their money, but I am here to tell people about healthy choices and thinking about things realistically. You only have one body. Waiting if you have a problem is a terrible idea. Anyone who's ever been on the internet and has looked at Reddit and they read people who are having issues, they always say, I should not have waited to go to the hospital or the doctor. Don't wait. It's not getting any better. And I think that's a very important reality to make for people is that healthcare can be amazing. There are amazing doctors. I'm sick and tired of people scapegoating and their shitty health on other doctors who aren't good. If if you don't like the care you're getting, there's like you have a cell phone, there's the internet. Call some guys. write some emails. You have all of the opportunities in the world to find the best healthcare practitioner in the world. You don't have to look in Washington. You can go on Instagram and find anyone. Go on the internet and find anyone who you resonate with and start investing in your health. And I know that when every time I invest in my health, I get so much out of it. Because I'm a doctor, it gives me a perspective on treatment. But as a human being, there are certain things that I enjoy and do for my health that I know it makes me a better person. Going to the gym, some red light therapy, drinking really good water, eating really good food. All these things add up. Think of it as an investment, you know, because the sad thing is I've seen a lot of people die. And I've dealt with quite a few patients at the end of their life, and they said, "Hey, this is it. I'm in my 90s. I just want to be comfortable." Um, and I've worked with those people, but I've also seen the crisis, the elders who are in crisis, like, oh my God, yeah, they think this is going downhill pretty quick. I'm 75, I feel like I'm gonna die. And, you know, a lot of these patients, they make these miraculous recoveries and they're able to feel and enjoy their life rather than working your whole life, saving up all of this money and all this stuff to retire, and then spending your retirement having urinary tract infections, owing $80,000 to the hospital, having to sell your house, and now you can't leave your kids with anything. And I've seen it so often. Now, if this person was able to just go to a holistic practitioner or even a medical doctor that he liked once a year and got some blood tests and maybe took some vitamin D and had more motivation to do some afternoon walks, maybe like the last 10 years of their life would have been like way better, and maybe they would have been able to reach their life goal, which is to give back and provide for the family. So I do see the other side of the fence, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about this. And, I think that it's important that we realize that we're here. We're here for a short time. Hopefully, we're here for a good time, but let's make it a good time and let's be responsible about it.
Exactly. And then also might help inspire others to also take charge of their health too, and we can all live happy and healthy.
Amen.
The goal. Amen. Yay. Oh, we have Mary said thank you very much for the engaging I can talk. Inspiring, inspirational and educational presentation. Yay.
Harry,
Thank
we greatly appreciate you. You're awesome. You're amazing. Keep going far and further in your journey. Don't let anyone stop you.
you got this. And you got Dr. B here to help out if you're in need. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did.
It was good.
Yay. Thank you, everyone.